Liebe Leute, und weiter geht's. Wir haben den religiösen Harmonieakt abgelehnt, das Gesetz. Wir haben ein paar Gewinne von unseren Aktien von der Radiofirma eingestrichen. Und jetzt werden wir uns mal mit den Einwanderungsregulierungen beschäftigen. Hier. We are in the middle of a meeting in the palace about our immigration policy. The ensuing discussion quickly became heated. Josef, das ist der Verteidigungsminister, der ist konservativ, wissen wir ja, genauso wie Lileas. David Wischi, der ist eher linksgerichtet, und Simon Hall ist, naja, ein Kapitalist. I don't think so, Mr. Wischi. Just doesn't make any sense to me that a foreign citizen should come before a Sordish citizen in Sordland. Well said. My analysis is also in line with this. Especially during the economic recession, we are giving Sordish jobs to migrants from other countries. What about our own people? Immigrants are the reason our economy is not completely unsalvageable. Look at Aeolian immigrants in England. They've revitalized the whole region and in turn boosted the economy of the entire country. Simon can attest to that. Statistically speaking, allowing immigrants to become part of the workforce contributes to our economy, but I agree that the current situation is very nuanced. With that said, we can't just tighten our immigration policy and expect the economy to stay the same. We need to put our economy and the recession at the forefront. Gentlemen, can we please get back on topic? As I was just saying before I was interrupted, look at the superpowers. Do you see them closing off their borders? Why do you think their economies are in such good shape? They are in their current state because they welcome immigration and use it to their advantage. So, wir haben jetzt 3 Möglichkeiten. Sordland zuerst? Nein. Wir müssen den ökonomischen Einfluss der Immigration berücksichtigen. Oder wir müssen uns modernisieren und auf das Level der Supermächte kommen, ist ja wohl klar. I'm of the same mind. It's proven that immigration helps countries to develop, and we cannot just deport our current immigrants. We need a decision, but before we move on, Mr. President, do you have any questions about the current state of immigration? Ja, haben wir. Was ist der rechtliche Status von Einwanderern? Currently, all accepted immigrants are given a work permit on arrival so that they can work and contribute to the economy of Sordland. There is currently no limit on the number of immigrants accepted. However, the number has remained stable over the past years. Despite the laws, the fact is many immigrants illegally work for corporations. That's the main issue with immigration right now, not the immigration itself. Sagt Simon, und Lileas findet, dass das Nonsens ist. If not for the unlimited amount of immigration, we wouldn't be in this state. Wie viele haben wir denn? Official numbers show that we have anywhere between 2 to 3 million immigrants residing in Sordland. Even excluding the countless undocumented aliens in our midst, that is a very substantial count. The primary issue is the strife they cause between less fortunate Sordish citizens and themselves. Na ja gut, das ist das Klientel der Nationalen Front, ne? Including them in the workforce will benefit everybody, including unemployed Zords. More taxes means more services. Und wie kommen die üblicherweise hierher? There are 3 major paths they choose. The first one is the England and Agnolia border. The second is the Bergia to Velen border. And the third is the Lorraine coast. Where is that again? Ah, das ist da drüben. Ja, okay. Lorraine ist der grüne Bereich hier. Agnolians are the largest group. It's It's a light border over there. Although recently, political fugitives from Valksland have been crossing the Grey Sea by boat to land on our coast. Aha, politische Geflüchtete aus Valksland. Politically persecuted Veshek refugees tend to use the dangerous mountain passes at the Velan border. Many of them also have Blutish blood. Okay, what can we do about the situation? David Vichy opened his dossier stamped with the seal of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Trade. Before we make any decisions, I have to remind you, during the elections we promised to keep our immigration laws relaxed, which I think is the right course of action. Verteidigungsminister stimmt dem nicht zu. We are supposed to control and reduce the negative effects of immigration, like crime and subversion. I see your point, Joseph, but the economy certainly benefits from more immigration. Internal order, on the other hand, suffers immensely. We should tighten the laws to prevent further chaos. This is going nowhere. Ich denke mal, wir brauchen das nicht weiter zu diskutieren. Everyone lean forward, eager to hear my response. Ja, wir lassen natürlich das Einwanderungsrecht weiterhin entspannt. I'm glad you made the right choice. We will be forced to handle new waves of migrants from Agnolia. Our border posts aren't ready. Not only that, we've just abandoned the native swords who need our support the most. Also, this will bring a new tide of refugees from Velan. Bergia is already a difficult region to manage. Warum sollten da jetzt noch mehr kommen? Das ergibt ja gar keinen Sinn. Das ist shameful. Die EinwohnerInnen von Sordland sind nicht vergessen. Jetzt die Entscheidung ist endgültig. We are not leaving Sordland unprotected. Das ist die logische Entscheidung. Ja. You're wrong about this. There's a reason why this country has survived the century of revolutions. I hope hardworking swords will see this as positively as you do. Ja, nicht alle natürlich. Anything else? Let's get to work. There are changes to be made. The ministers gathered the documents and rose from the chairs, some with frowns on their face. I'm looking forward to the upcoming trade talks. Peter and I have been visiting Stalport and Wroclawitz in preparation. I'll be coming along to talk with the economy minister, looking forward to the potential partnership. If we are finished, I need to head off and get the ministry to work on the new policy. Same here. Our border units need to be informed and prepared. Aber es hat sich doch nichts geändert. Was ist mit euch? Keep up the good work. Mysteriös. Denn, oder? Ah, die Proteste. Die Proteste sind abgeebbt. Okay. The latest immigration policy closed loopholes, reduced illegal migrants and streamlined legal immigration processes. Jawohl. Und diplomatisch hat das auch einen Einfluss. Na gut. Tja, essen gehen mit Peter. Far from becoming accustomed to my workload as president, I only felt more and more snowed under as the weeks passed. It had been ages since I had any time to myself. I was starting to lose my focus and my temper was growing increasingly thin. Peter was the first to realize I needed a break. After much cajoling, he finally persuaded me to come to a meeting of his new venture, the Gentlemen's Club. For the past few months, he'd been hosting a salon of sorts. not just for politicians and businessmen, but also for artists, entertainers, people of taste, he told me with a smile on his face. There was only one rule, no wives or girlfriends allowed, hence the name. Yeah. And so I found myself in front of his new luxury villa in Erlory. Very loud jazz music emanated from inside. I waited and waited. Finally, Peter opened the door. I could smell the whiskey on his breath. Anton, finally, now the real party can start. Come on in. As soon as I entered, Peter closed the door and turned to the small crowd. Gentlemen, a minute of your time, please. I now have the privilege to present to you the man himself, the fourth president of Sordland, Mr. Anton Rayne. I'd known him for long enough to understand that he was more than a little drunk. He made an elaborate mock curtsy as I passed him and walked into the room. The music stopped and I felt everyone's eyes on me. A marching band. Der erste alkoholische Vizepräsident von Sordland. Guten Abend. Peter nodded at me and turned to the attendees. Dear members, please give a warm welcome to our very special guest, if I may. Anton, here, take this. He handed me a glass of whiskey and put his hand on my shoulder. We all know why we are gathered here tonight, to celebrate life, to have a brief escape from our tumultuous professions. I personally don't know any better cure for stress than a little drink. Only a little one. A few people in the crowd chuckled and some raised their glasses. Now, the tradition dictates that as the club president, I have to remind you of our house rules. There are 3. No politics, no wives, no one sober. Cheers. Peter drank the whiskey in his glass in one go. Sip. Wir nippen mal. Anton Rayne might have the power to make presidential decrees, but I, Peter Revectern, the president of this club, now declare this party started. Music. After greeting the crowd around, I felt a hand on my shoulder. Let me show you around. We walked through the corridors of his mansion. Statues and paintings lined the stark white walls. An arched window provided a view of the neatly manicured grounds, complete with a swimming pool. A grand lesbian marble staircase led up to the second story. Peter gestured at the massive crystal chandelier hanging overhead. That chandelier was made in the 18th century, can you believe it? There's even a hedge maze in the garden. Und wie bezahlst du das alles? I let you in on a secret. Gus Manga has a lot of contacts in real estate. He brokered a good deal for me. He'll also be here tonight. I can introduce you if you like. Tja, 2 oder 3 würde ich sagen. Was hast du ihm im Gegenzug versprochen? Oder in einem solchen protzigen Haus zu wohnen, während das Land leidet, ist nichts für mich. Jetzt würde ich gerne mal wissen, was er ihm wohl versprochen hat. Only my money. We continued walking until we circled back to where we had started. So, what do you think of my little hideaway? I find it disgusting. Ich meine, irgendwie schon. Jealous are we? Like I said, you could have a place just like this. Anyway, let's get back to the party. I arranged for some caviar to be brought in from Lesbia. You're going to love it. He opened the door to the main hall and we rejoined the other guests. The music was louder now and the mood decidedly more inebriated. Cocktail waitresses were carrying... Ich dachte, da waren keine Frauen erlaubt. Oder nur keine Ehefrauen. were carrying around plates of canopies, wearing dresses that left a little to the imagination. Ja, ich dachte, das wäre ein Gentleman's Club. Would you rather get served by a wrinkly old man? Sweetheart, over here. He waved at one of the waitresses and she came over to us. She was in her mid-20s, wearing red lipstick, her blonde hair neatly tied into a ponytail. On her plate were toast points slathered in the lesbian caviar Peter had mentioned. I took a bite. It was rich, salty, tasting of pure seaside. I could almost hear the sound of waves and seagulls. Lesbian caviar, best in the world. I'm telling you, Anton, there are few pleasures in life that are this. As the waitress left us to serve another attendee, she flashed a quick smile at Peter over her shoulder. He smiled back, a little too broadly. Sensual. His eyes were still fixed on her, with an expression I remembered from our many nights out together as a student. Oh look, there's Gus. Why don't you go talk to him? I'll be back shortly. I'm warning you. Mistake? What are you talking about? I'm just going to the washroom. I'll be back before you know it. He left the room and headed over to Gus. I headed over to Gus. Gus Manga was standing next to a couple of men that I recognized as banking industry magnates. As I approached, all of them turned to me and bowed their heads. Mr. President, a toast to our new member, everyone. Gus and I clinked our glasses as the people around us raised theirs. Wie lange sind Sie schon Mitglied? Since the beginning. It's a fun gathering and quite lucrative at times. You might have heard from Peter that I arranged the deal for this mansion. He also told me that you might be interested in potential opportunities such as, well, this. He opened his arms, gesturing at our opulent surroundings. Let's take a walk. The balcony has an amazing view of Ellery. We left the room and made our way to the balcony. On the way, he took out 2 cigars and held one out for me. Aber Anton wollte aufhören zu rauchen, deswegen lehnen wir das ab. We went out to the balcony. All of Ellery was at our feet. From this vantage point, I was able to see how expansive the building plot was. The swimming pool and the hedge maze were visible from here. Leaning over the railing, I admired the view for a moment before Gus spoke up. I know you're wondering about the deal Peter made. In a nutshell, thanks to my network, he was able to procure this house for half the asking price, which would have been impossible under any other circumstances. Das ist aber günstig, huh? You must know that the offered price is not suitable for every client. I would have been delighted to work with you, but unfortunately a deal won't be possible at this time. Not from me or my contacts, at least. Why is that? There have been some issues with my business, Mr. Rayne, nothing life or death, but the hard work I put on the cancelled railway took up so much of my time that I've had to postpone some projects. I'm sure you understand. Ja. He downed his whiskey. If you'll excuse me now, I'll go refresh my drink. See you around. He left to rejoin the party. Alone on the balcony, I looked out over Ellery. Suddenly, I heard a rustling from the hedge maze below. I looked down and saw a silhouette, 2 silhouettes actually, so close together they seemed to be entangled. I squinted and tried to get a better look. It was definitely 2 people kissing, but I couldn't see either of their faces. Ja, wahrscheinlich Peter und die Kellnerin. I returned to the party and spent some time mingling with the other guests, engaging them in small talk about their businesses, their children, their relationships. Around an hour later, Peter showed up next to me. See, I told you I'd be back before you knew it. Warst du das da in der Hecke? What are you talking about? I told you I went to the washroom. Hast du die Kellnerin geküsst? What? No, how could you think that? I'm a married man. Just asking. Hey, you can have her if you want her. Anyway, want a drink? Because I do. He poured us 2 large glasses of whiskey and we drank them in one go. Throughout the party we drank and drank, just like old times. I woke up the next day with a pounding headache and more than a few regrets. My memories of the evening were hazy, but there was one important detail that kept coming back to me. The red lipstick on Peter's collar. But maybe my memory was playing tricks on me. Ja, der Peter. Dirty Peter, there we have it. Coolster Fratz, hallo. Hallo. Ja, dann schauen wir doch mal wieder in die Zeitung. Peter Vector throws a lavish party. Ja, die Medien haben es sofort mitbekommen. Vice President Peter Vector threw a lavish party at his new 1.5 million Sordlands 3-story gallery mansion, which was attended by high-profile businessmen and politicians, including President Rayne and the Minister of Rural Development, Gus Manga, according to our sources from the old capital. According to the reports, guests arrived in elegant suits and dressed for the swanky affair in the evening, but the Vice President and the President was nowhere to be seen at the entrance of the huge mansion. Nonetheless, it is worrying that Rayne and Vector are throwing parties and having hidden meetings during the economic recession with so much trouble surrounding our nation. From the prism of leadership, the President and his administration have been an absolute failure. Extravagance and secrecy never ever stops with this President, meint Sordland Today. Aber die sind ja auch konservativ. Ja, das ist wie in Finnland vor ein paar Monaten, ne? Wo dieses Video von der Präsidentin in den Medien war, die irgendwie feiern war und dann musste sie einen Drogentest machen und solche Sachen. Also ein bisschen absurd. Aber das stimmt natürlich in gewisser Weise. Kann das, gerade in so einer wirtschaftlichen Situation, ist das ein bisschen moralisch fragwürdig. Polizeigewalt. Aha. After the arrest of the vice president of the Young Swords Cultural Centers, a group of teenagers started protesting in front of the Allery Police Department, shouting, "Police are fighting for the wrong side." Within a few hours, the small protest pulled a lot of people to join in, which prompted the police forces to intervene. We or our cultural organization pose no threat to the national security of Sordland or to any other foreign country or state, a protester said, waving a flag of the Kingdom of Sordland. We have not and do not plan on engaging in acts of terror or violence. Das ist ja nun mal bewiesenermaßen falsch. The group had dispersed after the arrival of the riot police and several arrests were made. According to the reports from the scene, many protesters were beaten up by the police, with at least 20 being critically injured. Ja, und wir haben irgendwie 9000 in den Gefängnissen oder so. Irgendwas war doch da. Ein Bericht, 2 Berichte. Die Nachforschung des Universitätsbrandes wurden eingestellt. A lack of further evidence from the investigation into the fire that occurred at the Hosod State University archives has caused the case to be suspended until further notice from the police and SID. The cordon has been lifted. Hosod posts connection to the Young Sword. Chief of Police Karl Greiser reported that Young Sword sympathizers, as well as several old members of the terrorist organization, are currently working for the newspaper Hosod Post. Investigations are underway. Müssen wir die Zeitung verbieten? Besser nicht, besser nur die Leute verhaften. Das Benfi Festival, das schauen wir uns als nächstes an, denn da wird ja Monika sprechen, die Frau des Präsidenten.